What up, guys? That Comic Awesome here, doing another review. This is the Amazing Spider-Man Annual number 42, and this has to be one. It is thick, but this has to be one of the most bloated, lazy stories I've read in a long time. It is so hard to explain that, like, as you're reading this, there are things that happen and you're like, that's convenient. That's convenient. The villain of the story, is like just generic bad guy number 5. And his plot is to blow something up. And it's like, this is an annual. Like, there's some good stuff in here. Some good, overall Spider-Man plot advancement, but it could have been trimmed down to a normal issue. Again, I just felt like this was just a lot of convolutedness. I think that's the good word for it, convolutedness. So I'm going to start off, and this is an Alex Ross cover, and I know I'm probably going to catch flack for this. I don't like it. I don't like this cover. And this is why. That's a good cover. That's pretty cool. If they would have had, like, maybe a dynamic billboard, but then instead you got, like, Andrew Garfield, Peter Parker face kind of right there, Peter's nerdy subordinate, Betty Brant, and then Robbie up there. I am not a fan of, like, photorealistic faces in comics. It's off-putting. Maybe it's just because that is off-putting. Like, that is creepy. So anyway, let's get in, because there's actually 2 stories in here. You get this little bonus story, which is actually kind of cute. I would liken that to something like a Disney Pixar, like that little short, like 5-minute Pixar, like short at the beginning or the end of a movie. That's what this is, and I kind of liked it. But I'm also a sucker, so you get the a pretty good catch up. Brings forth Betty Brant, dealing with the death of Ned Leeds right during the clone conspiracy, and he calls her right before he dies and says, Blood Creek. Well, what does that mean? What does Blood Creek mean? So they get into it. A couple weeks ago, these the enforcers, Ox, Fancy Dan and Montana, they're kind of they meet with this spooky businessy guy and say, look, we're clones, we died, we came back, not all of us were as lucky as us to stay alive. Like Ned Leeds died, his clone, but before he did, he called Betty Brant and said Blood Creek, and he's like, well, I wish she wouldn't have said that. And he's like, so take care of it. So they go off and they're like, watch her. If she starts investigating Blood Creek, you know what to do. So of course she's gonna start start investigating Blood Creek. But first, her and Pete are at a psychic. She's obviously still torn up about the death of her husband. And this is where we start to get some really good Slott style Spider-Man, like just that cringy, like, ooh, like. So here you have Spider-Man, and he's like, and if that's the case, I want answers. Go figure. I'm leaving Betty's fake psychic to go after a real creep because he didn't set off my psychic power. The irony here is not lost on me. Is that irony? And then he starts singing Alanis Morissette. And he's like, focus, Spidey. Come on now. There is one good line that Spider-Man gets in later. So he's following a shadowy figure that just disappears. And this kind of did make me chuckle. He's like, nah, it couldn't be a ghost, could it? And he's like, Ned? I just did that, didn't I? And it's like, that actually like made me chuckle a little bit. So then, of course, now Betty is more hell-bent. I mean, look at all of this dialogue. This could have been trimmed down so much. So she goes to visit her friend Glory at the City Hall, which just happens to be right next to a statue that says, what? Blood Creek. I wonder if that has something to do with the plot. It does. As Glory just mentions, hey, look, that's what this statue's about. And she said, well, that cinches it. Cinches what? Well, that clinches it? Well, that's it? I don't know. She has some weird phrasing in here that it doesn't do right. So then, of course, because Peter wants to kind of protect Betty, he starts to try and take over the story. And this, again, some classic Slott writing. Empire State University, he was Ned's source. I've got all of his contact right here. And then Pete, like a real reporter. And then you have Pete. Yeah, pre-social media. Check it out. He just followed me back on Twitter. Come on, Robbie. I've already got an in. It's awful. Just awful. So they go... Pete slips a tracker on her, but they go together to Empire State University. The enforcers show up, and there's a scuffle. And again, classic slip. Listen to it. So, everyone, please remain calm. This will be over soon. Or sooner. Hi, friendly neighborhood hall monitor. Where's your bathroom pass? I thought so. 10 points from Slytherin. I mean, I couldn't make this dialogue up if I tried. So then Spider-Man runs out of web fluid because he's poor. Because even though when Spider-Man didn't have a job and just was a high school student or was barely making ends meet at the Daily Planet, he never seemed to have this much of a problem keeping his web fluid in stock. So he finds some other ways of doing that, of getting out of the situation using his Spidey signal. He gets Betty out of there. The enforcers vanish again somehow. So they go sneaking around the records and to figure out what Blood Creek is about, because it seemed that somebody had kind of started this online presence of that this Blood Creek was a much bigger battle than it was, even though it seems to have never existed. So they're looking for hard facts. So they go to City Records, and it seems that somebody paid millions of dollars for that statue to be commissioned. Then, of course, Fisk shows up, and Fisk... This is the first comic outside of Daredevil, one where they really reference Mayor Fisk, at least that I'm reading. It might be in something else. They reference Mayor Fisk and his anti-vigilantism policies. So apparently he had a sensor on the drawer that for those records, and then he says I should have dealt with this a long time ago. When you find out what it is, you're like, yeah, why didn't you deal with it a long time ago, Fisk? So then Mystery Man just comes out. He's a city contractor, and he's like, Betty, you have to trust me. Let's go. And of course she's like, all right. They go down to the tunnels. Of course, they run into the enforcers, because that's how the enforcers have been getting around, is through these secret tunnels. And who's the bad guy? This no name, his name's Ernesto Cornelli, and he's just part of the undermob. And the reason for that statue is it's actually a bomb. Yes, a bomb. Because, let's see, where is it? Oh, right here, where he says, you know, he pretty much explains that, yeah. Not in the middle of the city, within range of City Hall and the criminal courts. The ultimate doomsday weapon if the mayor or a grand jury trial was causing problems. So pretty much he has this massive bomb set up in the middle of this plaza just in case a jury doesn't go his way. How many criminal trials have been tried within the Marvel universe? And like this guy's just like holding an ace up his sleeve or something. So convoluted. So anyway, he goes to escape. He has, you know, the trigger, and of course, like, you know, I'm going to get away with this because I have this remote which will allow me to get away from a safe distance. So, yeah, he tells his little manservant that he has another job for him, which is to set off the bomb locally just in case the remote fails. And I'm gonna skip some stuff because I want to show more. So of course, you know, Spider-Man's like, hey, you know, give me the trigger. And of course, once again, out of web fluid. How does this happen twice in one book? Like outside of just plot, you know, it's just weak plot planning. Then, he's like, nope, I'm going to blow it up now. So then he convinces Montana. He's like, look, you've been dead. If we're not far enough away when that bomb goes off, you're going to die now too. So then he just is like, nope, turncoat, and gets it back. To which, you know, the villain says, damn it, won't do you any good. I have a contingency plan. Which, his contingency plan, somehow Spidey, who is, you know, underground and everything, assumes Betty has taken care of the problem, which she does. But he's just, you know, yeah, me too. Mine's 5'7" in heels, and you don't want to mess with her. Again, how do you know she's even doing anything? Freaking dumb. That's why I'm going to show that, but I want to kind of skip to, again, kind of this, this second book, and it's kind of, it reminds me of like a Pixar, short, where Peter's kind of showing off like all the things his spider sense like warns him of, and it's kind of a little cute, you know, thing, you know, snags in the carpet, you know, little things, manholes, dog poop, this and that. But the main thing that he gets a lead for a story that's happening at Stark Labs, and who does he run into? Miss Mary Jane Watson. So that kind of like I saw that and I was like, yes. It kind of makes me think that maybe we're gonna get lucky, and maybe by issue 800, things might kind of be back to normal. But anyway, again, trash. But luckily, this is the last time that Dan Slott will write an annual for Spider-Man. So, awesome. Subscribe over here, watch some more videos. Let me know what you guys think down in the comments, and I will see you next time.